Hello, welcome to part 4 of our self-love series. I am so excited for what we have in store today in today's episode. Let's just go for it. Welcome to Empowered Now. I'm your host, Colette Kati. Join me as we talk all things to uplift, encourage, teach, inspire, and empower you to see your best self, to live your best life, and to thrive wherever you are. Before we get into the meat of the episode, I want to share something with you that has been in the works for, really years, but over the last several months, I've been preparing something for you guys that I am so excited about. Makes me want to cry because it matters so much to me. I am personally inviting you to my free 3-day live course hosted by me, March 10th, 11th, and 12th, 2025. Claim the life you deserve. This is a journey from self-abandonment to self-acceptance. In this 3-day online event, I will teach you my everyday freedom formula. This is a process that I have used for years on myself, for myself, to help me move from self-abandonment to self-acceptance. And I'm going to teach it to you. You can register for this event at the link in my description on YouTube and in my show notes on Apple and Spotify. You are not going to want to miss this. This is a live event, but you do need to register to be able to attend and to be able to receive the replay afterwards. So please go sign up right now. You do not want to miss it. And let's talk about self-abandonment. What is it? Most of us don't even realize we're doing it. Let's talk about it. Real quick, if you haven't watched on YouTube or listened to the other podcast episodes in this series, I would encourage you to do that. We really go into detail about self-love, selfishness, and the difference between them. We talk about boundaries and how important boundaries are in order to establish love for yourself as well as love for the other people around you. We also talk about making yourself the love of your life. If you want to find the love of your life, it starts from the inside out. It begins with you. It's powerful episodes. Please go check those out. This is part 4, self-abandonment. Let's talk about it. Now, I'm really familiar with self-abandonment because I've done it my whole life. But I didn't really acknowledge or know that I was doing it up until about 10 years ago. And so I am very well versed in the art, not only the art of self-abandonment, but the art of overcoming it and finding that self-ownership, deep self-acceptance. Now, don't get me wrong. I might be an expert, but I still have it. I still have to pay attention to when I'm doing it and what I can do and what I need to do for myself to be able to move through it and out of it. Life in self-ownership and self-acceptance is so much sweeter than a life of self-abandonment. So why do we do it? What is the point? Why are we abandoning ourselves? First of all, what is self-abandonment? So self-abandonment is the act of neglecting ourselves, our well-being, our emotions, our own needs in order to prioritize others. And we do this in order to avoid conflict. We do this also in order to seek external validation. Sounds familiar, doesn't it? Anybody else? I'm like, oh shit, I do that. I still do that sometimes, right? It's normal. I think everybody at some point has self-abandonment. And it's nothing that we need to feel bad about. It just is what it is. But I'm here to tell you that life gets to be so much sweeter when we move from self-abandonment patterns into self-accepting patterns and self-ownership. It's empowering. When we're in self-abandonment or a pattern of self-abandonment, and I'm not going to say we are self-abandoners. We're just in a pattern. It's a pattern that is so common that we develop when we're children or at some point in time to help us get our needs met, to help us survive in our world and in our relationships. So we talked about what self-abandonment is, where we're letting go or ignoring our own needs, our well-being, our emotions in order to prioritize others. But I want to go into a little bit more detail of some things that you might not really realize or acknowledge as self-abandonment tendencies. Because these ones surprised me a little bit when I learned them. Often when we are in self-abandonment, we are not connected to our own intuition. We are ignoring our intuition because our intuition is going to tell us and guide us to what is best for us. But if I have a pattern of self-abandonment, I'm going to ignore that intuition because I think that I need that external validation or I need to avoid a conflict. And by so doing, I have to ignore my gut feelings. Tell me if this one resonates with you. I remember a time when I don't even think I felt like I had an intuition. I didn't trust my gut feelings. My gut feeling, in fact, was just like a ball of knots. It was like this, my nervous system was always like, oh, I'm worried or I'm nervous. And oh no, what about this? And what about this? Like I really didn't have a big connection with my intuition because I ignored it some of the time, much of the time. When we're in a self-abandonment pattern, we're often just ignoring our intuition. And the more you ignore your intuition, you're not going to notice it. It's not familiar to you because you have purposely tried not to listen. We don't want to do that because if I listen to my intuition, that means I might have a conflict or I might lose a relationship or it's unsafe. Like there's something about it that feels unsafe. And that's another point that I want to help you see, that these patterns that we develop, like self-abandonment, it's a pattern that is trying to help us. And I'm always talking about not identifying with these things. So these are just patterns. Self-abandonment is a pattern. It's not who you are. It might be the operating system that you've been living out of for a long time. And in my case, my whole life. And I didn't even know there was another way to do it. I didn't realize there was another way and that other way would be more fulfilling. That other way would give me more freedom and playfulness. And I would connect back to my personality and that person in me that loves life. That's what's on the other side of self-abandonment. Okay, another example. Okay, adjusting my chair real quick. All right, another symptom of self-abandonment, if I can say the word, is avoiding or suppressing our feelings. Who's raising their hand? Yep, that's me. That would be me. Avoiding or suppressing your own feelings. And you might even be thinking, but isn't that good? Because if I were to let my feelings just like out, then I'd probably be yelling at everyone. I'd probably be crying all the time or somewhere in between there, right? We avoid our feelings. Or we think, I shouldn't feel that. How selfish of me for feeling this way, or I should only feel gratitude all of the time. We start to get in these patterns of toxic positivity where we push aside any quote unquote negative feelings that we have so that we can always be positive and happy so that we can be there for the people that depend on us. This is not the way we were meant to live. We are humans with emotions and feelings. And by the way, feelings aren't facts. I think that sometimes we are afraid to feel feelings because we think it means something about us. We create this meaning around, oh no, I'm angry. I can't be angry. How rude. That's terrible of me to be angry. I get it because I've been there. I've been there in that place where, nope, we're just going to put away all of those, quote, negative emotions, and we're just going to be positive because that's what the people in my world need me to be. That's what I'm known for. I am positive and I'm happy. And heaven forbid that I am not, right? We judge our own emotions. We judge our own feelings, so we suppress them. We make them mean something about us, that they're bad or wrong, or it's not okay for me to show emotion. And maybe that's the way your world was as a child. Maybe you grew up feeling that way, or you just developed that on your own, thinking it's not healthy for me, or it's not helpful for me to express or feel my emotions. So we suppress them. It's a form of self-abandonment. We're humans. We're meant to feel. And all of the emotions are a part of what we are. It's a part of our makeup. It's a part of our biometrics. I don't even know if that's the right word, but do you get what I'm saying? And I know that makes sense in here, in our heads sometimes. Like, yeah, of course we have all of these emotions, but I'm not supposed to feel some of them. Some of them are bad. Well, I want to challenge that. All emotion is just there to help us process life. That's what emotions are there for. And emotions don't even, if we take out the meaning attached to our emotions and we let ourselves be in them and feel them, it really only takes 2 minutes to feel an emotion. If we're not looping that back into our heads and making it mean something about us. But we're so used to just that emotion is bad. We've put a label on different emotions so that we don't want to feel them. That's scary. That's wrong. That's bad. I should be ashamed to feel the way I feel. That's self-abandonment. So another symptom of self-abandonment, of another symptom or example or indication that you might be in self-abandonment patterns, or a pattern of self-abandonment, is that you are ignoring or not honoring your own boundaries that you've set for yourself, which I could even include not honoring your commitments to yourself. And this one it's kind of a big one because it also creates shame. When we have a desire, or we like set a boundary or a commitment to ourselves, we're like, I'm going to do this, or I'm fed up with this and I'm not going to take it anymore. And then we ignore that, or our pattern shows up and our pattern says, no, we have to let this go so that we can receive that external validation, so that we can avoid conflict, so that we can be loved or show the other people that we love them because they matter more than us. So if that pattern of self-abandonment is really strong in you, you're going to let go of your boundaries. It just is what it is. And there's no shame in that, but that's what it is. That's the truth. Because our internal system of, no, I have to do this in order to receive that validation, in order to show the people around me that I love them, like I have to do that. And so we're constantly letting go of our needs, ignoring our boundaries, and not keeping our promises to ourselves because other people are coming first. And over time, this pattern can cause burnout, resentment, and you will stop trusting yourself, which also leads to a diminished sense of self-worth. Like when you map it out like that, when I discovered this for myself, I was like, oh my gosh, I see it. I see why I have this diminished sense of self-worth, because I'm the culprit. I'm the one ignoring my needs. I'm ignoring my boundaries. I am people pleasing to the max. And I think I need to for some reason. So how do I shift that? No wonder we don't feel good about ourselves. It's not a case of, it's not a matter of like looking better or making sure we're going to the gym to feel better. It's not just that. It's an internal programming flaw of us actually choosing to not matter to ourselves. We're actually choosing to put other things and people first. This pattern of self-abandonment is not serving us anymore, but we thought it did. And maybe sometimes it does. If I'm afraid of conflict and I don't want to lose somebody I love, then I'm not going to fight with them. I'm not going to bring it up when they do something that I'm not okay with, or I'm not going to tell my kids that they need to act a certain way or they're not going to love me. So we see why we do it, but there's a better way. There's a better way. And you don't have to sacrifice yourself to receive love, to feel happy in life, to receive that self-worth. And that's the outside-in approach that I want you to really see with the self-abandoning pattern. Is the self-abandoning pattern is saying, I need to put other people first so that I can feel worth. But is it effective? Is it actually working? No, it's doing the opposite thing. Do you feel more connected to the people around you when you continually put them first? Just ask yourself that. Do you feel more worthy and more loved inside by self-abandoning? It doesn't actually work. It's a pattern that thinks it's trying to help, and it's just a little bit off. Self-acceptance. That's where we want to go. That is the direction that we are going here. So there is a better way, and that's what I'm going to teach you in this free 3-day live course to claim the life you deserve. I'm going to help you learn different tools and practices, my everyday freedom formula, to help you move from self-abandonment into self-acceptance. It's a process, and it's a process that will change your life for the better in every way. If you haven't already, go to the link in my description, sign up for that course today, and I'll see you there. It's going to be amazing. Let's go back to this idea of self-acceptance now. So, what does that actually look like to not self-abandon, but be in self-acceptance? Sometimes we have this idea that it's going to look like we are shutting everybody else out of our lives, that we are being mean to everybody else because we're cutting them off. It means that we're looking selfish because we're now putting ourselves first. That's not what it has to be. And like I said in I think the first episode of the self-love series, you're just moving from a pattern of other people matter more than me into I matter and you matter. And I've freaking got to teach myself that I matter in order to truly show my children, my partner, that they matter. Because our children, and not always our partner, but our children often will learn their patterns from our patterns. So if we have unhealed patterns that are just acting up and ramping up, we're going to see our kids start to do the same things in their lives. And hopefully not. I like to think that my kids are going to be smarter than me and not develop those patterns, but we all do it. So it not only helps you, but it's going to help the people that you love, for you to shift from this pattern of self-abandonment to self-acceptance and self-ownership. And life gets to be so good and juicy. So what can we do with this pattern of self-abandonment? What can we do? Which I'm going to teach you many things in this 3-day live course. But right now, as we've been discussing self-abandonment, I want you to just notice if you have any of those patterns. If you have any of these patterns that we've talked about, putting others' needs first, ignoring your intuition, not honoring your own boundaries, prioritizing other people's needs, avoiding conflict, so that you can seek that or receive that external validation so that you can feel good. Notice that. And does it actually work? And without going to like the other side of this where we're like, oh no, I'm doing it. I'm a terrible person. Oh my gosh, what am I going to do? Like, let's not beat ourselves up. That's the first thing. The first step to self-acceptance is not only becoming aware, but letting yourself be there. Taking away the judgment. It's so easy to move into judgment when we notice things about ourselves that we're not really that pleased about. That's the first thing, in fact. We have been trained that shame actually helps us change, but it's actually the opposite. Shame doesn't help change. It just helps you stay identified and stuck with the pattern. So don't judge yourself. If you have been living out of this pattern of self-abandonment, it's not the end of the world, and you are okay. You are still worthy of love, and just notice it. Notice, okay, I see that I have that pattern, or that I have been acting out of that pattern. Okay, it's okay. I love myself anyway. Or I'm willing to explore the idea of loving myself anyway. Okay. I think that's where we're going to end. I think that's where we're going to end because there's definitely more to say, but I would love to see you guys in my registration list for the course because we're going to dive into this. We're going to dive into this self-abandonment pattern and we're going to shed some light on it. We're going to bring some love to it. We're going to find self-acceptance through that self-abandonment. All right. I love you guys. Thanks for being here. Thanks for supporting these episodes and the podcast. Thank you for supporting our family. If you have watched the Shade Tards, I know we haven't posted for a while, but I still get messages every day from people that have watched us for years. And in fact, many of my clients, they have expressed to me how they have been watching us for years. And I just want everybody to know that has been a part of this journey with me, that means something to me. And I appreciate you. And I often feel in my journey of becoming a coach, in my journey coming out of self-abandonment and into my own deep self-acceptance, I have often felt like, oh my gosh, this is the reason. This is the universe's reason for me, that's what I believe, to be here. Because we did not create this. It was not like a marketing goal of like growing the Shade Tards channel. It was just so organic. And I feel like for me, this is like why. This is like all of those years coming to this like culmination of, okay, this is why. This is why I have been in this space to gain the audience that I have, to have these connections, these deep connections. In fact, I was in a session with a potential client just the other day who was saying, you know, is it weird that like I know you, but you don't know me? And when she was saying that, I just felt like I feel so connected to everybody that I talk to. And it's almost like if I know that you have watched my videos for freaking 15 years, I know you. I know you in a way that you might not understand. But I feel this deep connection instantly, and there's a reason for that. So if you are in this pattern of self-abandonment, especially if you have been following me for a long time and you know my journey, you've seen it online, then you've got to attend, because this is going to be, maybe it'll be even the first day to the rest of your life where you get to shift this pattern and live a better life than you ever even imagined, because that's where I'm at. And I don't say that to brag. I'm just saying, holy crap, like look at life. Life is messy. It's so messy. And it gets to be good. And we get to grow. We get to learn. We get to overcome. And if you want to do that, if you're in that place where that's calling to you, please join this course and I will see you there. I'm so excited. I love you all. Chat soon. Bye. Thanks for watching Empowered Now. If anything you heard today resonated with you and you want more, please like and subscribe so that you won't miss an upload. You can also follow me on social media at Colette Kati. And if you're interested in working with me more closely through coaching or other opportunities, go to my website, ColetteKati.com. It is my hope that you will continue to come back and experience for yourself the benefits of choosing an empowered life. Your feedback and your experience are very important to me, so please take a moment to connect with me in the comments below. Let me know your thoughts on today's episode, ideas for future topics, and ideas for guests that you would like to see. And as always, thanks for your time, support, and your courage to live empowered now.